If you hike the extra mile across Oregon's forests, you will soon discover that we have some real giants living in our woods, trees dating back hundreds of years. Hi there, Grant McComey here, your host for Travel Oregon's Grant's Getaways. Now, scientists will tell us that soil and climate have everything to do with Oregon owning some real giant trees, but it's not just size and it's not just age that make Oregon trees special, it's also the stories behind some of those trees, and collectively we like to call them Oregon's heritage trees.
When you've a heritage tree in your line of sight, you better have it in clear focus.
So that'll be neat.
Steve Derricks and Michael Hordisky are landscape photographers who say their eyes open wide with wonder and pride when a real giant comes into view.
Very scenic, very picturesque.
The giant sequoias look like sentinels at the Washington County Courthouse in Hillsboro. The trees are in rare company. They join more than 50 other trees that are part of the Heritage Tree Program. You may have seen some in your travels, like the Hager pear tree at hectic I-5 and Highway 22 junction, or the Waldo redwood in downtown Salem, small in acreage but a parkland huge in stature next to the Capitol, or inside Willamette Mission State Park, home to the oldest cottonwood tree in the country.
You and I could not get our arms around this tree. We'd need about 5 or 6 or 7 more of us just to be able to do that.
Paul Reese says Oregon's heritage trees are living legacies. Often planted by pioneer ancestors, they are links to Oregon's rural roots.
They can help us make the connection to the things that have happened in our past and help us understand the present if we understand the past.
Reese adds that one man, Maynard Drawson, a lifelong Salem resident and a barber by profession, is owed a debt of thanks for getting the program off the ground in '96.
Maynard Drawson had such a passion for trees. Every tree has a story to tell. He's a storyteller at heart.
Stories like the Nyberg English chestnut, located at Nyberg Road exit off I-5 in Tualatin.
He was a small man and broken, English because he was Swedish. Even though he was mayor for Tualatin for 28 years, he was, just a farmer.
John Nyberg was also a brave farmer. You see, back in 1954, bulldozers were building the interstate highway. Big old trees in the right-of-way were coming down at breakneck speed. 150 had fallen on the Nyberg farm, and many of those had been planted in the 19th century. Grandson Arn Nyberg says there was just one tree left, this one, when his granddad said no more.
The D9 cat was just pushing him over right and left, and so one of the chestnuts went down, and that's where he took his stand, as this was the last one of the really stately trees that he felt were important. A small person standing in front of a D9 cat, kind of a rare Oregon story, I guess would be a way to put it.
A heritage tree doesn't have to be the biggest or the oldest or even a native species, but it sure has to have a good story, like this one, the Student Planters Grove in the Tillamook State Forest, a grove of Doug fir trees planted by kids 60 years ago.
The Tillamook State Forest is a story of rebirth and renewal, and that grove signifies that.
The Valley of the Giants is an amazing heritage deep in the Oregon Coast Range. You can walk among 500-year-old Doug firs.
For those that take the effort to get there, it's an amazing remnant of what once was here throughout much of Oregon. You do feel very small against some of the big trees that grow in this state.
Back at the courthouse, Steve and Michael agree the giants are not only supermodels, but there are stories in the trees that can teach you much about Oregon.
You can get close to the county courthouse sequoias and many other Oregon giant trees, heritage trees, through this special brochure. It's published by the Oregon Travel Information Council, available online or at information outposts across Oregon. Paul Reese adds that they're always on the lookout for new heritage trees, and if you have one in mind, you can simply contact him with the information. In order to do that, we've given you the contact information, the details and directions to some of the heritage trees right here on the Travel Oregon website. So until next week, Get out here and explore the Oregon outdoors, perhaps through its trees, and learn more about Oregon's wonderful history. For Travel Oregon, I'm Grant McComie.